Hello, everyone. Welcome to the October 1st, 2025 podcast, Our Unfair Advantage. Jim Harris, Mike Side. Today's topic is baseball and discerning God's voice. Now, what in the world does baseball have to do with discerning God's voice? Let me tell you a little history on me before we get into the meat of today's podcast. I grew up in a small town in north central Kentucky, and I played a lot of sports. Played a lot of basketball. Basketball's big in the state of Kentucky, but I also played baseball. I was more known as a baseball pitcher. And over 4 years in high school, after Little League and Pony League, I was 23-7 in my 4 years as a high school pitcher. Not bad, 23 wins, 7 losses. Then I pitched beyond that in some summer leagues. So I got enough experience about being a baseball pitcher. And of course, playing basketball in Kentucky in closed arenas and avid, even high school, crazy fans. The noise in both cases could be unbearable. And one of the keys that we had to do was figure out a way to focus, to block out all that noise and focus. I want to tell a story again. You've probably heard me tell this story, but it bears repeating because this is a great introduction to where we're going in today's lesson. Many years ago, the actor Kevin Costner played in a baseball movie called For the Love of the Game. He was a pitcher. He was a baseball pitcher, professional for the Detroit Tigers in this movie, in this fiction story. And movie was on his last year as a pitcher. The last game, actually, was the main part of this movie, at the end of the movie. And as a Detroit Tiger pitcher, he was coming into Yankee Stadium, the old Yankee Stadium more confined than the new Yankee stadiums that had the train moving through the right center field. It was noisy. It was incredibly noisy. It seemed like the fans were all on top of you. And here comes Kevin Costner out to the mound, and he's looking around. And he sees all the noise and hears all the Yankee fans just berating him. And he knew it was time now to zero in and start pitching the game. And as he turned to the catcher, he said in his mind, to help him get focused, he said, "Clear the mechanism." And then all the noise faded. And he was focused now on the catcher, the catcher's mitt, and the pitch he was about to throw. Well, one of my roles is to teach you how to better discern the voice of God. Just like in this movie, Kevin Costner did through his, human practice of clear the mechanism. Oh, by the way, at the bottom of today's podcast, wherever you're watching it, there's a link that will send you to a 3-minute YouTube excerpt of this scene that I just described to you. Even if you've seen it, it's worth going back and seeing again. It's a great little episode, and it'll reinforce what I'm about to share with you on how baseball can help us discern God's voice when we learn in Kevin Costner's way to clear the mechanism. Oh, there's so many ways I could go in this, but I'm just going to jump right into the meat of today's teaching, discerning God's voice. Holy Spirit said, remind my people what I've taught you. In fact, that's where the book, Our Unfair Advantage, came from. Just teaching you how God taught me to hear his voice. And over the years, I've learned various ways to do it. Here are 4 keys that I've learned, 4 simple yet powerful ways that you can better discern God's voice. For some of you, that's going to be a reminder. For some of you, it's going to be absolutely fresh and revelatory. Either way, it bears knowing and bears repeating. So here are 4 of my suggestions to you, 4 of my exhortations. Number 1, the number one way, in my judgment, the number 1 key to discerning God's voice is be still. Be still. Many of us know by heart Psalms 46:10 that reads, "Be still and know that I am God." That word still is the Hebraic word to cease, relax, To be idle, to withdraw. To cease, to relax. To be idle, that just means not, it doesn't mean you're not doing something with God. You're seeking to be closer to God, closer to Jesus, closer to Holy Spirit. But everything else is pushed aside. And to withdraw, to find a place just like Jesus did. We've read in the New Testament so many times. He went to the mountain by himself to pray. Number one, absolute critical key is to be still. Now, just to the left of me is what I like to refer to, and you've heard me refer to it before, is my prayer chair. This is where I come early in the morning. Morning is my preferred time. Midday may be yours, night may be yours, whatever works. Whatever works. Mine is in the morning. So this is my prayer chair. I put on some soaking music, no words. That's just my style. Hot cup of coffee, the Word, my journals, and I attempt to relax, to withdraw, to cease from doing anything except hearing His voice. Basically, when you put it right down, just in the fundamentals of it. Give me the words today, Holy Spirit. Maybe I need more coffee today. Any of you ever need more coffee sometimes? Sometimes I do. The essence of being still is just like Kevin Costner did in the movie, block the outside, the physical, the business pressures, and also block your inside flesh, your feelings and emotions, and the inside noise we have. We want to block the noise. So ask the Lord, if you don't have a place where you can now be still, ask the Lord for Him to give you that in Revelation, a place where you can be still and know that He is God. Because if you're not still, then it's much more difficult for the voice of the Lord to resonate and be alive within you. That's number one, be still. Number two, be patient. Be patient. Now, I don't know about you, but sometimes I can be impatient. Give me the answer now. Let me do this now. I want this technology, the software to work now. Yeah, sometimes patience, and particularly when someone cuts me off in traffic, is a challenge. Isaiah 55:9 says, "For as the heavens are higher than the earth," once again, many of you know this by heart, "so my ways are higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts." His ways are not our ways. His thoughts are higher than our thoughts. That simply reminds me in a profound way that if I'm not getting what I sense I need at that time, be patient. Maybe He wants me to hear something different than what I'm coming to Him in prayer for. Maybe there's another revelation on something else. If I bring my agenda to God and only my agenda, He may not want to speak to that every time. I have to be patient and allow Him to guide me to where He knows better what I need at that time. His ways are better than my ways. His thoughts are greater than my thoughts. And so I need to be patient, be still and be patient, and let Him do the work at His pace rather than to push it on my flesh schedule. So be still, be patient. Third suggestion, third key is be diligent. Be diligent. Now, how do you define diligence? Diligence in the Meridian Dictionary is defined as steady, earnest, and energetic effort. Steady, earnest, and energetic effort. Are you diligent in hearing the voice of the Lord? Are you steady, earnest, and giving energetic effort to hearing His voice? Let me put that definition in one of the most popular diligent verses in the Bible. Instead of using the word diligent, I'm going to substitute this definition and see how this rings for you. It jumped off the page when I did this earlier today, preparing for this podcast. Hebrews 11:6. This is the New King James Version. "But without faith, it is impossible to please Him," to please God. "For he who comes to God must believe that He is, and that He is a rewarder for those who steadily, earnestly, and energetically seek Him." I put that verse in an entirely new context for me. And sometimes I have to catch myself. Am I steadily, earnestly, energetically, patiently being still as I move closer to hearing God's voice. Still, patient, and diligent. And the last suggestion I have for you, this is more of an exhortation than a huge teaching in many ways. This is an exhortation with a process. I like that, exhortation with a process. The fourth suggestion, the fourth key that I have for you today is beyond being still, and often that's called meditate, to be patient and to be diligent, is to be ready. To be ready. Now, what do I mean by be ready? What's that got to do with this? The definition of ready is be prepared, likely to do something for immediate use. 35 times in the Bible, the phrase ready is used one way or another. The Son of God, be ready. The Son of God comes quickly. Be ready in and out of season. Be ready to be ready. This is what I mean by be ready. Be ready to write it down. I've got my journals over here on the floor. Should have had one here as an illustration for those watching us on YouTube and so many other visual channels. Be ready means to write it down. Now, for some of us, it may be handwritten. For some of us, it may be digital. Whatever works. But when God speaks to you, I have learned this the easy way. I've also learned it the hard way. When he speaks to you, write it down. Now, for some of us, well, I haven't heard from God. I'm seeking a word. I need a word. I'm not hearing his voice. I don't know why. He's just being silent. All my prayers are just hitting the ceiling and bouncing back. One of the first things I ask, and I ask this of you, this is my Sherpa coming out of me, my spiritual Sherpa. For those that are having difficulty hearing the voice of God, I often ask the first thing, well, what's the last word you've got from God? What was the last thing God told you to do? 9 out of 10 times people say, well, the last thing he said was, and I simply ask, well, have you done it? Have you finished that? And most of the time, they haven't. And then I just simply exhort them in a loving way, saying, well, why should God give you another revelation, another word, another prophetic word, if you haven't completed what he's already asked you to do? Why should he give you more if you haven't even finished the previous? That's what I mean by being ready. Write it down, meditate on it, be patient with it, be diligent seeking after that. And as you do, Dave Ramsey, the financial guru, he may not like the word guru, but the financial expert, he has what's called the snowball effect. Pay a little bit off, pay one credit card off at a time, and after a while there's a snowball and you're free of debt. In this case, when you write down what God is whispering you to do, and you've heard it, you've been still, you're patient, you're diligent, and now you're ready to actually activate it, you write it down and you do it, get ready for the revelatory snowball. It will come, and it will come faster. I have lived that out myself. Soon you will hear a testimony of how many things I've been waiting for patiently for over a decade. You'll hear that story soon. But I'm encouraging you right now, as you listen to this, from the Kevin Costner movie theme of clear the mechanism. How can you get ready? How can you be ready to write it down, knowing it is from God? Once again, I suggest 4 things. Write these down. Now, if you're driving, don't write them down. Get to where you're going to do, pull over the side of the road, and then write them down. Okay? But here are 4 suggestions on how to more clearly hear God's voice for your business, for your life, for your family. Be still. Be patient. Be diligent. And be ready to write it down and to do it. That's simply our podcast for today. I do, and I prayed before coming on this podcast, as I always do. I prayed that this will edify, this will exhort, this will encourage you. That's the spirit of prophecy. The spirit of prophecy, 1 Corinthians 14:3. You're going to hear this until you're going to be almost tired of hearing it from me. 1 Corinthians 14:3, the spirit of prophecy, the heart of God for the word to be released is to edify you, to build you up, to exhort you, to move you on, and to lift you up, to encourage you. I pray this has done that today. So if you do this, if you start implementing this, I'm not going to say if, when, starting today, you start activating these 4 keys, these 4 steps, these 4 suggestions these 4 insights, these 4 revelations. Call them anything you want to. Email me at hello@drjimharris.com. Let me know how this has helped you. hello@drjimharris.com, or comment on our social media. I want to start creating a global tribe where we come together on all our various media channels, be it Rumble, be it Facebook, be it YouTube, wherever it might be that you're watching or listening. Comment, share, and let's get a dialogue going globally on how we can help feed one another. I can learn from you just like you can learn from me. So please follow us on all of our media channels at Dr. Jim Harris, and share our Unfair Advantage podcast with your friends, with your neighbors. Listen to it with your spouse, with your friends, and use this as a discussion guide. Get back with us. Let's create a covenant feedback loop. Let's create a covenant. I've not said it that way before. Covenant feedback loop. I welcome hearing your responses, your replies, your questions. Let's start this conversation. So I hope this is helpful. I hope this is an encouragement. We've got so much more to come. In fact, there's going to be a part 2 to this message. Just completed a part 2 to this message next week. You don't want to miss that one, because I'm going to continue this and give you some fresh revelation on what it means in another depth and breadth of revelation on how to discern God's voice. So until next week, Dr. Jim Harris saying thank you for joining us. Look forward to seeing you back next week on our Unfair Advantage podcast. Thank you for listening to today's podcast. Please subscribe to whatever page or platform you're listening on so that we can stay connected. Thank you.